Chapter 31. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are still 40 evolution points, which are reserved for the time being in case of emergency. After thinking about it, Yu Ziyu gave up the idea of using up the remaining 40 evolution points. 40 evolution points are not too much, but not too much. As a unique golden finger that can freely choose to evolve, these 40 evolution points are crucial. Sometimes, it may come in handy. For example, in a certain aspect, Yu Ziyu feels inadequate and needs to use evolutionary points to develop. In this way, Yu Ziyu also has an extra escape route. Moreover, one thing worth mentioning is that the ability to hallucinate and thick fog the diffusion is all at L2 level, and if you want to upgrade again, you need 100 evolution points. Such a terrible demand seriously irritated Yu Ziyu's nerves. However, it is also conceivable how powerful these abilities will be if they climb to LV3 level. Horrible, how much you pay, you will gain. In this regard, the golden finger of evolution has never let Yu Ziyu down, and at this time. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly there were bursts of thunder in the sky, followed by drizzle, which became heavier and heavier. In a blink of an eye, the noise in the entire canyon was covered by the sound of rain, except for the occasional low whine. These little guys. Looking at the drowned animals in the tree cage, Yu Ziyu couldn't bear it. The branches rolled up into the sky, and black tree roots spread out from the soil. Looking up to the sky, he could suddenly find that the branches are woven into an umbrella shaped the size of a millstone, which is held up above the bird's nest, and below, countless black tree roots are entangled with each other like giant pythons, turning into a thicker python, but they are slowly pulled up to the sky above the tree cage, blocking the rain for these mutated beasts. Ouch, ouch, ouch. A wind wolf squatted on the ground like an era, with a red tongue sticking out of its mouth, staring intently at the willow tree deep in the canyon. Moo. A cow cry echoed in the canyon for a long time. The giant black cow with crescent horns rubbed against the roots of the tree next to it, with a humanized look on its face. It is indeed true that cows understand human nature. Seeing the action of the bison, Yu Ziyu also laughed, but for a moment, in his surprised eyes, the bison actually shook his head, walked out of the tree roots that protected him from the rain, and walked towards the rain curtain. Forehead. Yu Ziyu, who had not yet reacted, was slightly startled, but for a moment, a clear voice like a silver bell suddenly sounded in his ears. Master, the cow really likes rainy days. Good, bar. Suddenly I remembered the habits of the buffalo. I guess this bison is not much different. It was a bit embarrassing, but Yu Ziyu didn't pay much attention to it, and at this moment, at the foot of a mountain in the distance, a motorcade coming from nowhere suddenly stopped. Pushing open the car door, a young soldier wearing a raincoat looked at the mountains shrouded in clouds and mist, and frowned slightly. It's raining and thick fog again, which is really not a good sign. You do not say. In response, a bearded uncle got out of the vehicle behind. He was a regiment leader. This time he received a military order and followed this young soldier, Yan Gaoyuan, to survey the mountains here, although he didn't say it clearly. Surveying something, but as an old soldier, how could he not guess it? For this reason, he specially brought some 2 machine guns, and also applied for 4 armor-piercing bullets in case of emergency. At this time, the group leader looked at the puddles of soil, and then at the eerie and terrifying mountains under the hazy drizzle and shrouded in clouds and mist. He also made some suggestions. Otherwise, let's find a place to stay first. This weather is not a good time for surveying. As he said that, he took out the map again, pointed at a red circle on the map, and added. There seems to be a village not far away. We should be able to have a good night there. Nodding, Yan Gaoyuan also agreed. Well, you old people have rich experience in this matter, so I won't give random instructions. Hearing this, the group leader couldn't help but shook his head and said half-jokingly. That can't be said like this. Our army respects the strong, and the commander is regarded as an extraordinary person. Before he finished speaking, the leader looked at the young figure with a look of envy. Extraordinary people. That's something ordinary people can't envy. When spiritual energy is revived, there are always some people who are uniquely blessed, and their body's adaptability to spiritual energy is far beyond that of ordinary people. Once such a person completes his awakening, he will be called an extraordinary person. Of course, this kind of thing has not been announced to the public yet, but it has only been circulated among the military. It is even said that the country is sending people to recruit extraordinary people who have awakened from the people, and the person in front of him is an extraordinary person, and I heard that he is not an ordinary extraordinary person. If that rumor is true, he should be the legendary first generation. Shaking his head, the leader also suppressed the rising thoughts in his heart, and then took the walkie-talkie and commanded. Heading north, we went to a village not far away to settle down. Remember, don't bother the villagers too much. We just spent the night and inquired about some news. Haole, leader. Leader, can we have a tooth ceremony later? Responding one after another. The entire convoy was already driving slowly towards the depths of the thick fog along the mud filled with puddles. P.S. Asking for flowers, asking for rewards, the fourth update, *******, I hope everyone will support me. Chapter 32. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The small village is not far away, only half an hour's mileage from the convoy. However, due to the continuous rain and rugged mountain roads, the convoy stopped halfway. Looking at the narrow dirt in the distance that could only accommodate 1 or 2 people, the group leader also got out of the car and said with a wry smile, "This is the mountain." Listening to the captain's sigh, Yan Gaoyuan couldn't help but shook his head, then glanced at the convoy behind him and ordered, "Leave a few people here to guard the convoy. The rest of you can follow me to the village." "That's fine." Nodding, the leader also directed the convoy. At this time, as if he remembered something, the leader suddenly shouted to the convoy behind, "Brothers, remember to bring those good guys with you." I said, "Captain, do you really have to be so cautious? Those good guys are not ordinary Shen." Shen. His face darkened. The group leader looked at the young man who spoke out, and said in a serious tone, "It's just heavy now, but when you lose your life, you will know what real heaviness is." Said, he walked to the last car of the convoy alone with a dark face and took out the iron box. It contained a modified small armor-piercing bullet, specially made for mutant beasts. Like this, it is difficult for tanks and even armored vehicles to drive into such large mountains. Therefore, small armor-piercing projectiles launched by humans have also emerged. However, considering the extremely terrifying recoil force that can crush a human arm, such weapons are generally used as a last resort. Most of them rely on ordinary guns and cannons. Of course, it is worth mentioning that armor-piercing projectiles, which mainly rely on the kinetic energy of projectiles to penetrate and destroy targets, are not an ordinary threat to mutant beasts. You know, ordinary mutant beasts, the strength lies in its ability to ignore the terrifying defenses of bullets and artillery fire. This kind of armor-piercing bullet can tear apart the proud defense of the mutant beast with just one shot, and at the same time burst out with huge kinetic energy, thus crushing the internal organs of the mutant beast. Generally speaking, there are really not many mutant beasts that can resist this terrifying weapon, except for those few, as. If he thought of something, the leader's face suddenly darkened. This is not the first time he has participated in this kind of mission. The last time was 10 days ago, but that time, with a sigh in his heart, the leader also suppressed the inappropriate emotions rising in his heart. However, I have to say that the harm caused by mutated beasts to humans is really getting bigger and bigger. Even if the army enters the mountains and starts encirclement and suppression, it is still somewhat inadequate, and that's not to mention those few death hells that have become restricted areas. The sky is gray and the raindrops are falling. The world seems to be covered with a layer of gray, blurring the sight of ordinary people. Step, step, step. Heavy steps sounded in the rain, and a group of more than a dozen people stepped on the muddy ground full of puddles in an orderly manner, slowly coming. However, before the people arrived, they heard a sound of sadness. "Granddaughter, why are you walking so fast? If a white-haired person gives a black-haired person a gift, how will we live together?" Listening to this extremely noisy, but full of sorrowful voice, the young soldier Yan Gaoyuan and the regiment commander looked at each other, and their expressions changed slightly. Problem occurs. As he spoke, Yan Gaoyuan nodded suddenly. then his right leg suddenly bent, and then a faint light enveloped his legs. Boom! Along with the vibration of the earth, water splashed 3 to 4 meters high. Yan Gaoyuan rushed towards a scattered small village not far away like an arrow. Gulu. Looking at this inhuman operation, many soldiers who saw it for the first time swallowed their saliva. Commander, this. Shut your mouth, some things are beyond your control at this juncture. The leader, who was already in a heavy mood, rebuked angrily, and then took a deep look at the figure that had disappeared in the distance. Last time, if he was there, that brother would not. With a bitter smile, the regiment leader shook his head helplessly, then looked behind him at the many recruits who had just entered the mountains, and reminded. You guys, remember, you are here to sharpen your skills this time. If you are really in danger, I tell you to get out, so you should get out of here quickly. In this rare reminder, the leader's mood became increasingly heavy. If I remember correctly, it is very likely that mutated beasts with peak spiritual power of up to 10,000 will appear in the place they surveyed this time, right? If not, that would be great, but if so, does it really exist? Then they will be in really big trouble. You know, the last time we encountered that mutated beast, its peak spiritual power was only 6,000. It was as terrifying as a monster and it slaughtered half of the team. Well. With a sigh, the stubble-faced leader's fists clenched with blood marks. However, at this moment, this person, unknown to the team, suddenly surged in clouds and mist deep in the mountain, as if a huge creature was slowly waking up. Boom! Along with the terrifying roar, the storm visible to the naked eye has risen, and countless thick fogs are entangled in it. From a distance, it really looks like a monster is stirring up the clouds and mist. How come? In a rare moment of disbelief, Yu Ziyu's heart sank a little bit. Human beings, and not just ordinary humans. The thick fog can enhance his perception, however, it is at the foot of the mountain after all, so in order not to attract the attention of those villagers with his attention, Yu Ziyu also deliberately turned the thick fog into thin mist, but even so, he could still detect the fluctuation of spiritual power that had just risen, and through the mist, Yu Ziyu was even more surprised to find that it was actually a person. Yes, a person. The mist was his other pair of eyes. Although he couldn't see clearly, Yu Ziyu still saw the outline of a human figure. He was about 1.78 meters tall, a little thin, even though he had just exploded. The spiritual power fluctuated, and he had only reached the 5th or 6th level. However, the significance of his appearance here made Yu Ziyu's expression change drastically. Impossible. Absolutely not. While speaking coldly, Yu Ziyu also firmly believed that it was impossible for humans to discover his existence. You know, one of the two women who witnessed his existence was dead, and her soul was entangled in his tree roots and attached to him, and the other woman is under his control, not to mention, she has not woken up yet. Even if she wakes up, Yu Ziyu has already ordered Shaoqing to erase the memory of that woman while she is sleeping. As a mental power awakening existence, this kind of thing is not difficult for Shaoqing. Moreover, for the sake of convenience, he is also afraid of the recovery of memory. Yu Ziyu's death order completely erased that woman's memory. Even if she becomes an idiot, it doesn't matter. In other words, in short, it is to completely destroy the woman's spirit, and this is one of the reasons why the woman has not woken up. It is not that she does not want to wake up, but that it is difficult to wake up unless Qing'er takes over her body from a distance. Otherwise, even if the woman when he wakes up, he is just an idiot. P.S. Please give me flowers and collect them. It's not on the shelves yet. I'm still asking for support for my new book, *******, hehe, but in return, Crimson makes a promise here. For every 5 rewards, 1 update will be added to the shelves. For every 3,000 more flowers, 1 more update will be added, and for every 2,000 more evaluation votes, 1 more update will be added. 10 updates are the base, and 30 updates are the top. If it is exceeded, Crimson promises to make up for it the next week. As of now, there are 5 updates saved. Please rest assured. ******, big discount on reading books during Dragon Boat Festival. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shaoqing, Have you done what I told you? The cold voice was like a wisp of biting cold wind, which made Xiaoqing, who was sitting on the treetops teasing a few peregrine falcons, couldn't help but shudder. Have you never heard such a cold voice? Really? Never before. The always kind-hearted master showed such a cold attitude. Xiaoqing was stunned for a moment, but she couldn't help but have a flash of panic in her eyes, and her mouth was pouted, as if she was about to cry. Average. Seeing Xiaoqing's appearance, Yu Ziyu also sighed slightly, realizing that the tone was too strong, and this time is not the time to be angry. Call. Taking a deep breath, Yu Ziyu collected her emotions and said softly, I'm asking you 2 days ago, I arranged for you to erase the memory of that girl. Did you do it? Did it. Nodding excitedly, Xiaoqing gestured with her fingers in a panic. Master, I followed your instructions and very seriously crushed her spirit bit by bit, and as a result, that, and so on. My body is drilled. Drill into your body. After being slightly startled, Yu Ziyu also showed a look of astonishment. Yes, drill into me. As if she was a little girl who discovered that her little secret had been discovered, Xiaoqing was all squirming, but for a moment, she emphasized again, I don't want to, I really don't want to, but just when I crushed that phantom, the fragments of the phantom turned into streams of light uncontrollably, and penetrated into my body one after another. As he spoke, Xiaoqing raised his arm and pointed, Look, master, my body seems to be a little more solid. He took a deep look at Xiaoqing's arm. Indeed, compared to the previous 2 days, Xiaoqing's body became solid again. At first glance, he thought he was a real person. Did he absorb He Linger's soul? In a rare guess, Yu Ziyu's face also looked a little weird. As twins, He Qinger and he, it is understandable that Linger has a close connection. In other words, their souls can be said to have the same origin. Thinking about it this way, their souls can theoretically merge with each other, and the possibility of rejection is very low. As for being, there is no need to go into the matter of the elder sister devouring the younger sister's soul. After all, the real He Qinger is dead, and the He Qinger in front of you is just a mutated soul. Apart from the similarity in appearance, the human He Qinger can be regarded as 2 different people. Treat each other as a living being. Moreover, in ancient legends, don't the souls of the dead always return to the earth to take away their loved ones? If this is true, this He Qinger did something similar by accident. However, if what Qinger said is true, then why do these extraordinary beings come here? Because of him? For now, the possibility is slim. After all, the only possibility of his existence being leaked was eliminated, but at this moment, Yu Ziyu's eyes suddenly lit up as he glanced at the little girl sitting on the treetop with a somewhat uneasy expression. Since he can't guess, why can't he ask? Thinking of this, Yu Ziyu's branches suddenly shook, and a drop of very rich life essence seeped out. Qinger, eat it. Sending this drop of life essence to the youngest daughter, Yu Ziyu ordered. Master, this. Looking at this precious green liquid, Qinger didn't want to eat it for the first time, but was a little scared. After all, the owner just now was so cold. I need you to be strong. Help me do something. Don't let me down, okay? Listening to Yu Ziyu's helpless voice, Qinger was suddenly shocked, and then nodded repeatedly. Okay, master, I won't let you down. After finishing speaking, Yu Ziyu had already put the green liquid and the branches into Qinger's mouth. Gulu, as if swallowing, then Qinger's body suddenly shook. Boom! Along with the slight vibration of the air, an inexplicable force was already flowing. At the same time, Qinger's body also swelled in the wind, and in a blink of an eye, he was already 1.6 meters tall, and he returned to his life in a trance. Wearing a white dress, she flutters like a fairy, her black hair is like ink, flying like a waterfall. Owner. Another soft call, but with a touch of coldness that does not belong to the human world. Race, mutated soul, level, enter level 5, talent, immune to physical attacks. Ability, mental strengthening, one of the few mental abilities that allows her to stay for a short time after death and to interfere with reality to a certain extent. Telepathy, I don't know where there is a similar flower, and she is connected with her soul. Entering the 5th level. It's 2 levels higher than before. Muttered in his heart. Yu Ziyu's mood was a little complicated. As expected, even if Qinger was given life essence for the second time, there wouldn't be much of a breakthrough. if he expected it to be true, entering the 5th level should be quite a feat. The threshold, unless he provides life essence at all costs, it would be a bit difficult to help people break through. However, after thinking about it, Yu Ziyu can understand his life essence is already very unnatural. Being able to help people consolidate this Peiyuan can accelerate the evolution of all things. If there is really no limit, he will first consider his life and death. After all, greedy eyes will never be less, but like now, it is only effective for low-level breakthroughs, but it can make him a little safer. Chapter 34. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At this moment, in the village at the foot of the mountain, blue tiles, mud house, there is some water leakage in one corner of the roof. Tick-tock, tick-tock. One after another, water droplets hit the ground, creating a large puddle, but at this time, no one cared. Old man, don't be impatient, speak slowly. Sitting on a wooden chair, Yan Gaoyuan looked at the old man with a lot of white hair not far away. His body was very straight. Well. Sighing again, wiping the moist corners of his eyes, the village chief said bitterly, "My 2 miserable granddaughters were attacked by a mutated green snake when they returned home in the middle of the night. One of them died from the poisonous hair. Just before you came here, buried, and the other one is still asleep." As he said that, the village chief couldn't help but choked up. This. Opening his mouth, Yan Gaoyuan couldn't say anything. If you ask him to fight with mutant beasts, he won't even frown, but if you ask him to comfort an old man who has lost a loved one, it will be a bit difficult. The group leader in his 30s who followed Yan Gaoyuan into the village chief's house had some experience after all. He stood up, walked to the old man, patted the old man's shoulder, and said comfortingly, "Old man, my condolences." After saying that, the leader seemed to have thought of something, and asked again, "Kill that beast?" "Well, if it's not killed, we'll kill it tonight and offer it as a sacrifice to your granddaughter." "Kill it, kill it." He nodded heavily, and finally a smile appeared on the old man's wrinkled face. "The people in our village beat the snake to death with sticks." As he said that, the old man seemed to have thought of something, and hurriedly added, "But just because she swallowed the gallbladder of the green snake, my other granddaughter still hasn't woken up." "Snake gallbladder?" Frowning his brows, Yan Gaoyuan was a little confused. Deep in the mountains, there is a saying that if you are bitten by a poisonous snake, take out its gallbladder to detoxify it. As if he knew something, the bearded leader tilted his head and explained. Just the twitching of the corner of his mouth still revealed some of his thoughts. "Snake gallbladder detoxifies. I don't know what bastard thought of it. Even the snake itself may be poisoned to death by its poison. How can its snake gall detoxify?" If this were the case, if a person, after being bitten by a venomous snake, fought to the death to kill the snake and eat its gallbladder, the venomous snakes would probably have become extinct long ago. At this time, it seemed that he saw the leader's thoughts, and the old man even choked up and said, "We also know that this is a folk remedy, but at that time, my granddaughter could only breathe, and her whole body was still green." Before he finished speaking, he seemed to have thought of something, and the old man burst into tears. Sigh. After looking at each other, the team leader and Yan Gaoyuan also sighed. When that time comes, no matter who it is, they will grab this last life-saving straw. This is human nature and is reasonable. "Old man, why don't you take me to see it?" At this time, looking at the crying old man, Yan Gaoyuan also tried to say this. Looking at Yan Gaoyuan's very young face, the village chief hesitated. "Don't worry, old man, this guy is awesome." As he said that, the stubble-faced regiment leader also said rudely, "Don't look at him because he is young, but you must know that he is my commander. If I were not a few years older and he called me brother, I would still have to meet him at this time. Give him a military salute." Well. The corners of his eyes twitched, and the wrinkles between the old man's eyebrows were squeezed together, but for a moment, after taking a deep look at Yan Gaoyuan, who was full of righteousness, the old man turned around, picked up his pipe, and sighed, "You guys, it's so hard to stay with us for the night, and I still have to trouble you, ugh." As he said that, the old man raised his steps and walked toward the back room. The back room is not big, probably about 20 square meters. In addition to a table and a chair, there is also a large bed, and on the bed, there was a young girl lying. He is not very old, about 17 or 18 years old, she seems to be a pretty clean girl, and she is also a good-looking type. The more she looks at her, the better she looks. However, the faintly pale face showed pain, as if he was suffering from something. This is my miserable granddaughter, who has been in a coma for 3 days. As he said that, the old man looked at the regiment leader and Yan Gaoyuan who were walking behind him, and begged, 2 officers, if there is any way, please help me, even if it costs me this old bone, I will. Admit. Don't. After supporting the old man, the group leader also pulled the old man aside very wisely. At this time, if anyone can do anything, it can only be the extraordinary person in front of me. Moreover, when he stepped into the back room, the group leader had already noticed something strange about Yan Gaoyuan, as if he was surprised by something. At this time, Yan Gaoyuan was just as the leader had guessed, and his heart could not stop shaking. Awakening, really awakening. Looking at the pale girl lying on the bed not far away, Yan Gaoyuan lost his composure for the first time. As an extraordinary person, Yan Gaoyuan is no stranger to awakening. It was like the most painful transformation before breaking out of a cocoon and being reborn. Spiritual power baptizes the body. The soul resonates with it. In terms of performance, everyone is more or less different. Some people complete their awakening after sleeping, while others have to suffer for 3 days and 3 nights before they complete their awakening. The girl in front of him was awakening. Her body was already wrapped in spiritual power, and the colorful and dreamlike spiritual power seemed to penetrate into her body, squeezing in desperately. At the same time, Yan Gaoyuan also noticed a surging. The heat wave is coming. Fire elemental talent. With a murmur, Yan Gaoyuan looked at the girl with complicated eyes. Elemental talent is one of the most terrifying extraordinary talents. The fire attribute is the most violent and destructive of the elemental talents. Until now, there are only a few people in the entire country who can awaken such talents. Even he himself has only awakened to strengthen his body. Needless to say, Yan Gaoyuan knew that he had really found a treasure this time. As for whether he could revive the girl, that was not his concern. After all, if those old guys from the research institute knew about this, they would probably go crazy and use various means to wake up the girl. Chapter 40. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. However, after thinking about it, Yu Ziyu felt that he had gained a lot this time. After all, he had driven a good chess piece deep into the human being. Thinking of this, Yu Ziyu also called softly, "Qing'er, how are you now?" Forehead. After a moment of silence, the white figure leaning against the big tree pouted and complained, "I got into a car and it was bumpy until now." After saying that, Qing'er expressed dissatisfaction again. "Master, do you really want to control this body all the time?" "Yes." Smiling, Yu Ziyu's words were full of pride. Even he did not expect that the girl named Linger would awaken the elemental talent by accident, and later be killed by the leader of this group. Yan Gaoyuan took a look at it and named him to be sent to that mysterious department. And what does this mean? As long as he trains Qing'er with all his heart, an excellent chess piece will emerge. By then, he will also be able to deal with many human situations. Through Qing'er, he grasped it immediately. Moreover, he also asked Qing'er for confirmation. Now Qing'er can control that body for more than 10 hours. When Qing'er does not control it, the body will enter the sleep state. In this way, a cycle can be formed to make Linger's body work and rest normally like ordinary people. Looking at Qing'er, who was somewhat reluctant, Yu Ziyu also understood a little. Such control is very important to Qing'er. It should be a big burden. Thinking about this, Yu Ziyu also smiled and said, "Qing'er, as a reward, I will give you some life essence regularly." "Really?" But with his eyes widened, Qing'er suddenly screamed. "I keep my word." Yeah, thank you, master, thank you, master." Dancing happily, Qing'er, who was wearing a white dress, had a sincere smile on her face. The essence of life is a very important treasure to her. It can accelerate her evolution and at the same time nourish her soul. It can be said that this kind of treasure has an extraordinary attraction to her, and just when Qing'er was dancing happily, 2 heavily armed special forces soldiers in the back of an armored vehicle driving on a muddy road looked at the little girl who suddenly fell asleep again, and twitched the corners of their mouths fiercely. "This little girl, Linger, doesn't have narcolepsy, right? Why do I sleep all day and night?" Sleeping is fine, but the key is that she always falls asleep suddenly without warning. Forehead. There was rare silence, and the two Special Forces soldiers looked helpless, but for a moment, as if they thought of something, the two of them looked at each other, and both could see the smile deep in each other's eyes. It's been a long time since I last saw such an innocent little girl. Moreover, according to Boss Yen, this little girl's talent is extremely high. If there are no accidents, there will be another monster in that genius concentration camp. I have already thought of her future title. With nothing to do, a special soldier suddenly joked. What? Sleepy woman. Forehead, the sleepy girl is a bit too much. I think she should be called Concubine Yen. It's a nice name. Concubine Yen. There is something special about this name. I said, brother, you must be too fond of Linger. He smiled. This special soldier also stopped talking, but his faintly flickering eyes seemed to be telling something. It's night and the air is filled with moisture. Several hours had passed since the human being left, and at this moment, as if he had noticed something, Yu Ziyu suddenly raised his eyes. I saw 4 huge cyan wolves limping towards them in a thick fog. The wound was still oozing blood, large and small, looking particularly hideous. The leading wind wolf had something that looked like prey in its mouth. Looking carefully, it turned out to be a flat-headed brother that was several times larger. However, at this time, this flat-headed guy didn't look very good. There were wounds all over his body, and there were fist-sized holes in some vital parts. What's even more shocking is that its abdomen seems to be penetrated by something, and the blood is flowing continuously. Roar! Whimpering softly, the flat-headed brother was still trying to struggle, his eyes fixed on the direction he came from. Thank you very much for your hard work this time. Sighing in his heart, Yu Ziyu also couldn't bear it. Feng Lang was okay, facing human bullets. He was only slightly injured at most, but brother Ping Tu, who was tricked by him, and the man named Yan Gaoyuan, really he did it brutally, especially in the end. He was hit head-on by a human cannonball, leaving him with only one breath left. However, even so, the flat-headed brother who was blinded by hatred still refused to leave. With a pair of scarlet, the eyes were full of madness. If it weren't for the cover of the thick fog, the clever wind wolf bit it in one bite and decisively withdrew from the battlefield. This flat-headed brother would probably die in the battle. Well. While sighing, Yu Ziyu's countless branches slowly stretched out. Then, countless branches were woven into a huge hand and took brother Ping Tu from Feng Lang's mouth, as if he was holding him in his arms. Hu, ho, ho. Raising his head, the flat-headed brother looked at Yu Ziyu's branches, growling, and his body kept struggling, but the serious injury made every growl sound like a cry of grief, each one more sad than the other. Do not move. A message was conveyed through the branches. No matter whether brother Ping Tu could understand it or not, Yu Ziyu had already used the branches to bind it layer by layer. Then, its branches were like flexible tentacles, stretching into brother Ping Tu's wounds. Whimpering softly, brother Flathead was still roaring, but for a moment, as severe pain hit, his whole body began to tremble. Just be patient. With a whisper in her heart, Yu Ziyu used the branches to take out the bullet shell fragments from brother Flathead's body. The bloody bullet shell fragments were even stuck on brother Flathead's bones. If they didn't take them out, brother Flathead's injuries would probably be difficult to heal, and this means that brother Flathead has become a mutated beast. If it were a normal beast, it would have died long ago. P.S. Please give me flowers and collect them. Please give me some support. Thank you. Faloo's 18th anniversary brand upgrade gives back to readers. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab a deposit now. Activity time, August 10th to August 20th.